Hello and welcome to the Blizzard Arena here in beautiful Burbank, California. My name is Kevin and it is my privilege to welcome you to the 2018 Heroes Global Championship Finals. It has been an incredible year of professional Heroes of the Storm play where we've seen the very best battle it out within their region, but now we've brought the best of the best together to see who can claim the coveted global title. The top 12 teams from around the world compete not just for the right to be crowned a champion, there's also a whole lot of prize money on the line. It's going to be an incredible 2 weeks. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We've got some diehards in the audience here. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's going to be an amazing, amazing 2 weeks. And now, to kick everything off, let me kick it over to the talented JC Gillyweed-Gluck.
Thank you, Kevin. 1 year ago, we crowned the first ever Heroes Global Champion, and today marks the start of Gen G's journey to continue that dynasty. But there are a whole lot of contenders ready to begin theirs. I'm JC Gillyweed-Gluck. I'm going to be hosting the Analyst Desk all tournament long, and joining me to get started with opening week are Kaldor and Skimmy. Now, Kaldor, I'm going to need your honest, unbiased opinion. Is this
I don't think I have that.
Is this Europe's year?
I certainly hope so. With JPL retiring after BlizzCon, I think Dignitas is really eager to claim that title now, especially after the mid-season brawl, of course.
Yeah.
So I hope that we get a repeat, maybe in the grand final again between Gen G and Dignitas, because that mid-season brawl final was absolutely epic, and I wouldn't mind another one of those.
The best series of Heroes of the Storm to
Yeah.
date. And I know that Europe wants to join North America and Korea in having a BlizzCon title. Skimmy, welcome. I'm glad to see your rocket ride made it here.
Yeah, we got there. The jet lag, I mean, the rocket fuel, it didn't burn out anytime soon. I'm here. We're ready to rock and roll.
Well, we are going to definitely be rocking and rolling because this is it. 12 teams representing 8 different regions, all here battling for a $1 million prize pool, a $500,000 first place prize. But it's about more than that. It's about the title of Heroes Global Champion. And for many of these teams, it's baby steps. It's about getting top 8, and it's about making it to BlizzCon.
Exactly, and I mean, alone making it to BlizzCon is already a huge achievement. So of course, the opening week is already a big success for a lot of the teams that wanted to be here, that were talking about it all year long. Liquid being a very good example. They've been talking about nothing else but making it to BlizzCon, but it's also about making it to the actual event.
Exactly, and here is how they get there. Over the next 4 days, teams will be battling it out in a group stage round robin. Everyone in the group plays everyone else once. 2 groups of 6 teams each. The top 4 from each group by the end are then seeded into a single elimination bracket stage at BlizzCon Actual. That's why top 8 is oh so important. And as we dig deeper into our groups, you're going to see that buddy pass for doing well at the most recent clashes for Korea and Europe coming in handy, because each of those regions have a third representative, though maybe not the third team we would have expected. Skimmy, Ballistics, as we look at the groups, is not here. And though we knew that they were in decline somewhat this year, still winning BlizzCon 2 years ago, it's crazy to think they're not here.
Yeah, the decline's been a story that's not been the greatest for them, right? We saw them at the mid-season brawl go toe-to-toe, conveniently enough, actually, against Tempo Storm. They've had some struggles domestically, internationally. 2018, I think the final nail in the coffin was the failure to actually qualify for this event here. And it makes an argument for the old guard being replaced by someone new. We'll talk about, obviously, some of those returning faces a little bit later on in the broadcast, but it's interesting to see, how Heroes has evolved back from, 2015 when NA had their pride up until current point in 2018.
Oh yeah, well let's dig deeper into these groups because that's not the only name that's notoriously absent. Their opponents 2 years ago at BlizzCon in the grand finals, and a 2-time BlizzCon runner-up, Fnatic, is not here either.
Exactly, that was the big story in Europe for sure, and a lot of that came from Fnatic significantly changing their lineup after the mid-season brawl and having a bit of a slow start, and that resulted in a bit of a mediocre part 1 of phase 2, and in the end that was really what set especially Team Liquid apart from everyone else, that they had such a great part 1 of phase 2, that score, those points they scored back then, that really helped them to directly qualify for a spot. And then it came down to Leftovers versus Fnatic, and Leftovers are just the team that are on the rise and have been throughout the entire year.
Yeah, though it is sad to not see those storied teams be here. It does allow teams to write their own stories, like Leftovers, like Miracle, as they take on these tyrants that we have, Team Dignitas, and of course Gen G. You guys have now seen the groups. Do we have a true group of death, can we even say?
Oh, I would definitely say so. I would say if you look towards like Group B, that's definitely the tougher group there for sure. I would say that in each group, though, you have a couple of rivalries and battles that are really noteworthy. I mean, you look towards Group A, for example, and you have Team Liquid and Tempo Storm in there. And both of them really fell short of their expectations when they attended the Western Clash. So now that's something they can redeem themselves for. I mean, they didn't even win a single match at that event. So both of them are really eager to not only make it out of the group, but also show, listen, we learned from the mistakes. It was a bit of a fluke, and we know exactly what we have to do to not only make it to BlizzCon itself, but also have a really good event.
Skimmy, do you agree? Group B, Group of Death?
Personally, I believe so. Yeah, I think
Okay.
Group B actually is the toughest group. You got Dignitas, Serious Half, and Tempest. Very formidable names. You obviously got Leftovers in there as that wild card and the rival between the One and Mind Freak in those lesser known regions. But yeah, as Kauda was already mentioning for Group A, you got 2 Korean teams in there. Miracle looking to try and cause a little bit of stir, as we mentioned between Ballistics. But for Team Liquid and Tempo Storm, yeah, same stage, same chance. Same ability to see if they can make something happen.
I don't know if I agree with you guys. We got the champion, the current champion, Gen G, and then Miracle, the one team that continues to beat them. I think I will agree if BTG ends up maybe not being the team that shows up that we like to see, but I think they possibly could end up showing up to some teams. And then Tempo Storm's been looking pretty good.
It depends a little bit on how you look at it, because if you just think from so there's certain teams where you say, okay, who's going to make it to the next round? But there's also like, how easy is it for me to get a placement where I then at BlizzCon in a tournament bracket have an easy time?
Yeah.
And everyone wants to dodge Gen G if they can. And it's a team that is expected to take Group A. So when you look at Group B, it's not only I want to qualify for the next round, I want to place really well to make sure that I'm not ending in a 4th spot, for example, so I go up against Gen G. I want to have an easy time in the first round so that I'm ending up in the top 4 at BlizzCon immediately. So I feel that's why I think that group is going to be highly contested, because those small differences can literally mean the difference of you going up against an absolute titan in the next round or against a much easier opponent.
Yeah, that's very true. Today, we're mostly going to be focusing on Group A as we take a look at today's schedule. We're going to have here on stream 7 best of 2s. It is important to note that we are going to have an alternate stream. That's twitch.tv/BlizzHeroes2. And they're going to have a few matches both today and tomorrow. So you can check those out. We'll also be making sure to update you as those matches happen. We might even tune in live for little snippets if the circumstances arise. But we have 7 best of 2, so there will be more after the ones that you see on screen. Knowing what we have up next, guys, and I want to hear from both of you. We'll start with you, Skimmy. What match are you most looking forward to today?
Personally, this very first game here, I really want to see how Tempo Storm come out. They've made those changes, right? They, as you mentioned already, between them going to the Western Clash with the change of Sam retiring and Vin coming in, they have all this expectation coming from a major region of North America to, deliver these results, to try and really draw from that experience in the past. Luna Meow, I think whenever you come from one of these lesser-known regions, there's not really as much pressure on you. You might dominate back home. You come overseas, a lot of expectations are like, hey, they're not going to do too well. They're going to be dismissed. They might fall on that bottom of the bracket. So I feel like they can come in with a very open-minded head and say, look, you might be feeling Tempo Storm that you don't have much pressure on you, but honestly, it should be us that has no pressure.
I mean, going from the European aspect, of course, the match that that's going to happen later on between Dignitas and Leftovers is going to be important to see, okay, how is that going to measure up? Outside of that, I don't really feel I have like one particular match that I'm looking towards. I'm mostly looking towards the performance of the teams. You expect the Western teams in particular to come out dominant against minor regions in this case. If they can get a clear 2-0 victory, that would be important just to see, okay, is the power level really where they expect it to be? Because we've seen teams that travel to Korea, that travel to North America for boot camps. But not everybody scrims everyone right now. It's of course once a group thing, but it's also you don't want to show a lot of the meta. Leftovers are very famous for just like going in and saying like, we don't want to show anything to our opponents. We believe that coming in with our own strategies, our own ideas, we can surprise people. And they have to showcase that now. So I'm really curious to just see if the expectations that we have towards each match are going to be fulfilled by those teams.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I'm most looking forward to, I think, to Tempo Storm and Gen G, just because at Midseason Brawl, Tempo Storm put on a pretty good performance versus Gen G, and we all know how they did versus Ballistics.
Yeah.
Not to mention, and I'm sure we're going to get into it right away since Tempo Storm's the first match, we got a lot to break down about the Tempo Storm, the North American meta, but as I said before, today is mostly about Group A, a group with the current world champion and 5 teams ready to take them on. This is Group A.
안녕하세요. 저는 젠지 하츠팀 캡틴을 맡고 있는 사케 이준혁입니다. 2번 진 것도 굉장히 아쉽게 졌기 때문에 저희 애들이 또 큰 대회 이렇게 오면은 또 마음이나 마음가짐이나 이런 게 또 달라지기 때문에 제가 봤을 때 저희 팀원이 다 100%를 발휘한다면 충분히 이길 수 있는 상대라 생각해요.
제 이름은 나초진이라고 하고요. 그리고 미라클 팀에서 서브 탱커 포지션을 맡고 있습니다. 지금 팀 멤버 중에서 스나이퍼랑 저 빼고는 뭐 블리즈컨도 처음이고 다 세계대회가 아예 처음이에요. 3명, 나머지 3명. 젠지는 일단은 이게 운도 따라주기도 했는데 HEC 대회 들어오면서 제가 젠지한테 져본 적이 한 번도 없어요. 그래서 젠지가 잘하는 팀이긴 하지만 그 기록이 이번 블리즈컨에서도 안 깨졌으면 하는 바람이에요.
我叫 Backcheese， 是 Luna 喵的 support。我 Backcheese 的名字是因为，我算是比较喜欢吃那个焗烤起司的。这次也是好像也是台湾第一次遇到了 Liquid 呢，那遇到他们，希望可以有好成绩这样。
I'm Dennis Schneider, also known as Hasops. I'm playing for Team Liquid and I'm playing the ranged flex role. So for me personally, this is the first BlizzCon, even though I'm playing Blizzard games for a long time, Warcraft 3 and StarCraft 2. And it was also Nurok saying it, like with the new roster, him on support and Arcana coming in, this is the roster that will make it to BlizzCon, and he was right. So it was a good omen.
大家好，我是来自 BTG 战队的619，我打的是前排的位置，因为 国内的 HGC 比赛，然后一直使用的是波尔，然后对于我们来说的话，我们可能会更快的适应就这种比赛方式。然后，因为它是波尔的话，比赛存在很多偶然性，然后我们也很喜欢这种赛制。
I'm Ben Caterpillar Bunk, and I'm the tank player for Tempo Storm. With Swoy drafting at the Western Clash and us still being a kind of new roster at the time, we didn't really have the synergy down that we needed to really execute his drafts, so we struggled in that sense. And now that we're back to fan drafting, we've had a lot more time as a roster, we're having a lot more success playing what we excel at as a roster, and we're doing a lot better now, so we're a lot more confident with what we're playing.
Only one team in this group has been able to take down Gen G multiple times, but you can bet that everyone will be bringing their A game to get out of this group, including the 2 teams in our first match. We've got Tempo Storm taking on Luna Meow. The Taiwan versus North America is a matchup that we get to talk quite a lot about, but I want to start, of course, with Tempo Storm and the banana hat. Maybe being able to truly encapsulate what North America has been doing in the meta, because a lot of things have been happening, but it has started to spread to other regions. What did you guys think when you were starting to study these drafts?
Yeah, you were talking about it earlier, and I was surprised because I didn't know you guys had a meta. When you look at Tempo Storm, I mean, they're really rolling the dice there. You look at the playoffs and you see everything. Abathar is back with Illidan, you have a double support to run, the Uther coming in. Who needs a tank there? I mean, Octalis is of course shaking things up quite heavily. And jokes aside, it's really interesting. I mean, you guys really come in right now with a lot of strategies where you're saying, okay, we are shaking up the status quo. We believe that things that are a little bit out of the box work, and a lot of that has worked. At the same time, I'm really curious to see how it compares on the international stage. Maybe not necessarily against Taiwan now, but later on against Korea and against Europe, for example, since a lot of those teams have been looking towards and they have been thinking, okay, let's try this, let's see if this works. And most of them have decided that on certain maps and certain situations you can pull it off, but they believe that the standard is still strong, and I think that's going to be the big clash that we're seeing later on in.
And as far as Luna Meow, I said it before, Taiwan versus North America has not always been North America favor. There was a time for PBA, even for Tempo Storm and some of the members there, where Taiwan was terrifying. Skimmy, you as a sort of unofficial representative of our non-league regions, what are some of the keys to success for a team like Luna Meow here?
For the most part, it's also about really having like an identity as a team, not really trying to like dabble into 2 different ideas.
Okay.
You know, Luna Meow are very much a aggressive team, and they play that both at home and on the international stage.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll see teams look to try and you know, take snippets of drafts from these big teams when they come over for these scrims to try and, you know, mold that very, you know, unorganized jigsaw puzzle. Maybe trying to counteract in the draft. Suddenly they have this 5-man composition which doesn't really excel at anything. So I think this is a team that really have an identity. They go, yep, we like to play aggression. We're going to bring aggression. And up against a team like Tempo Storm, it's going to be like a battle of 2 rocks smashing at each other as kind of like an erosion of who's mechanically more gifted, or, you know, who's, you know, prepared or even nervous for the day one.
Yeah, it feels like something that the non-league regions really need to keep in mind is trying to stick to comforts too, which has been able to bring success, and we'll see if Luna Meow continues with that. They've said that they're going to try to start with meta, and then if needed, they can resort back to those. But one player who has a lot of comforts and a lot of flexibility is Fan from Tempo Storm. And I don't want to talk too much about it because it's been talked about for a long time, but Psalm leaving, a lot of the talk was how does Vin fit in with this roster? But I feel like Vin's transition was quite easy for him. You know, of course there were some stumbling, some stepping stones to get through, but it's because Fan was willing to step up for the team in so many different ways.
Yeah, he definitely did, and we heard also in the video earlier that he's now back on drafting, so that helps the team a lot. But for me, Tempo Storm is still a bit of a mixed bag because they usually come in with a lot of confidence into these tournaments and then fall a bit short of their own expectations. They had a great run at Mid-Season Brawl on the other hand, but you look after Psalm left towards the Western Clash, and they come in back then and they say, okay, we feel we can beat anyone here. We feel we can at least go to the grand final, and then they don't win a single match. So that's something where they have to just reset for themselves and have to say, okay, what are the issues? How do we address it? Is it only that Vin is new and that we need a little bit more time to mesh as a team? And they change things. And with Ban, this is now getting better for them, but now they have to prove themselves here. And it's, I feel, for them probably also a bit of a weird spot where you're happy you made it here, but how do you measure up against the international competition? So the early stages here are going to be super important for them and just getting that confidence that will help them later.
Part of me says, though, if you're breaking down these drafts as to what we saw in playoffs, right, where they are busting out, you know, the Zor, the Varian, the likes of Craziness and Illidan and Kerrigan, you know, you're starting to think maybe they are, you know, taking a lot of that pressure off themselves. Yes, we didn't perform as well as we would liked at the Western Clash. We've got this new player in. We are rebuilding. We've had time, well, 2 tournaments now on home soil for us to get accustomed and acclimated, right? So I'd like to think that they've had time to play around and time to get themselves organized. But I feel like, yeah, they've definitely got that understanding now. If we can play anything, we're not as, you know, intimidated by the kind of like NA LOL memes. We can do what we want.
Well, the ability to play everything has to be, you've got to be flexible to do it. Fan is a very flexible player. He's a true flex. 23 different heroes over the course of Phase 2. And talking about some of Psalm-specific heroes, 6-0 on Maiev is Fan in Part 2. So he is filling in that hole very well. And let's see if he can continue doing it in this series as we head to the Battleground pool to see where the first map will be. We've got bans on Cursed Hollow, banned by Luna Meow, Battlefield of Eternity by Tempo Storm, and Tempo has picked Towers of Doom. They've picked Dragonshire so much, but starting to bring in this map more. What do we think, though?
I mean, it's something that we see a lot, I feel, against non-league regions. Simply, you want to play the macro game. Normally, when you're looking towards China, you're looking towards Taiwan, even Australia, what they like to do is they like to team fight in these scenarios. And the macro game, trying to play around them, is something that they normally don't feel as confident in. So picking a big map against Taiwan here is, I think, a great choice from the perspective of Tempo Storm. Just making sure that they have a macro game available to play around them and don't unforced into the playstyle that the Taiwanese team is going to try and force upon them.
But this is a map that Luna Meow, in both the Horizon Clash and in the regional, enjoyed, and it does afford some fights to them, right?
What it does, they mentioned that they are not afraid to play this map. They're not afraid to actually utilize the likes of Abathur if they need to. And yeah, you're absolutely right there, Caldo. You know, for the most part, these teams from these minor regions will be sticking to small maps. They like team fighting. They just want to brawl because it always offers the possibility to win and get a victory, right? Compared to the, you know, finesse and then this timing of camps and rotations and all the rest of it. So this was going to be my main question coming into this one for Tempo Storm. How do they view it not only in the actual map picks, but in the draft? Do they go for full globals and full macro? Or do they go, look, we are better mechanically than you. We just want a team fight.
I mean, the interesting part is also going to be if we are seeing some kind of pocket strategy from teams here, because you have a best of 2 system. And it's really important for you now to just grab a few of these maps. And you can do that if you prepare well for an opponent.
Looking at this one, we're going to see a Tyrande ban straight out the window there. No surprise on a map like Towers of Doom. Definitely a first pick worthy hero. And then the response from Tempo Storm is to try and target onto Bowie, who's very well known for his Genji. Despite him falling out of favor a little bit with the hyper carry meta being almost superseded by the armor stacking style, still, they're giving them the respect that they deserve.
Yeah, Bowie is such a comfortable Genji player. He's been playing a lot more of even Dragon Blade still, even when you would expect it to be X-Strike because he feels so confident there. But we see an Abathur ban, Luna Meow understanding that the globals are important. I'm still wondering if they're going to pick up Dahaka though for Virgil. It's a comfort and it's a global for them to try to keep up with them.
And Glaurung likes it just as much as Virgil wills, right? So, I mean, you're looking at this, you're definitely seeing respect across the board. You've got double heroes targeted towards Bowie, but then the Abathur ban, that was going to be the big one for me, discussing about this map in particular and macro. It does put a priority on the side of Dahaka if they want to go into that, but if they don't, they can just go for, clean standard teamfight.
I mean, let's not forget that Tempo Storm also played their fair share of Illidan already, so that first of all meshes well with the potential Abathur, but even outside of it, if you don't get the Dahaka, but you still believe that you need some pseudo-global, then you can still spec into an Illidan here. I want to point out one more thing, because you talked a bit about nerves earlier, and I think the system that we have here is actually pretty nice for Luna Meow, because it is their first BlizzCon. They are now in a territory where, especially if you're playing on the big stage next week, just as an example, there would be a lot of pressure on you.
Yeah.
But we are really ramping this up just slowly. I mean, it's a Thursday, it's really early on, so you're playing on a stage, still quite a lot of people are working, and then as the weekend progresses, you get more and more confidence playing several times now on the stage. So for them, that slow ramp up that they have is going to help them to overcome an issue that a lot of teams face when they attend their first big tournament.
Oh, absolutely. You want to get those comfort heroes out the way and have a little bit of fun to start the day off with. Interesting picks, though. We do see the Medivh ban, or actually the Medivh pick, sorry, from Tempo Storm here, a pick that they're very well known for. Luna Meow never have ever played this, sorry, in their all-time history, they've banned it 14 times. Like, they absolutely despise this hero. I was wondering if we're going to see the likes of a Deckard Cain come across to try and blow up the Diablo, but they've gone for the complete blow-up in a different regard. Potentially going for a Garrosh later on for the protection if we do see Luna Meow say, we wanted to try and kill you, get in your face. They've
Not now.
Can't happen.
Excellent Garrosh ban. Heads up from that. I love the Malthael and Medivh together too. Malthael, I was wondering how much we see from that from Glaurung, and I think moving forward we may start to see some different picks. Maybe that Illidan that you talked about, Kaldor. But for the moment, these are things that they've played before, so they're not showing too much. They're also responding. You know, Diablo, he likes to pull people away. The portals are going to help from that with Medivh, and then of course trying to blow him up with the last rites.
You raise also another point here, because you're saying they don't really show too much, and that's of course a big strategy when you're coming into the event. Ideally, during the group stage, you don't want to show anything. You want to keep that in just like Mind 4 later on in the big tournament at BlizzCon. The problem is, in the best of 2 system, you can't really test the waters like you can in a best of 3, where you play a standard, doesn't really work out, and then you say, okay, gotta come out swinging right now, take those 2 following wins. So every single misstep that you do now can have big consequences later on in the tournament. But Tempo has a great draft here. They are playing that Malthael. Talked about that already. We have now a protection through Medivh and now Malfurion. So you have a lot of slows, a lot of roots, a lot of CC control, especially with that Arthas at the front line, which NA really likes to play in the main tank role compared to the off lane, which we are seeing sometimes on the side of Europe.
So we've got Raynor and Junkrat, and I'm a little scared about Luna Meow's ability to keep alive all of these very squishy heroes, especially with things like an Arthas flank, maybe not even necessarily needed because you have Medivh with portals, and now you had Jaina with the blow-up potential there. Do you feel like it's going to be enough?
I feel like Tempo Storm have actually got a really good response here to what Luna Meow are known for, because I was looking at some of the picks that we have for the flex players on the side of Luna Meow. You're looking at a Jaina and a Sergeant Hammer. Those are the only 2 other heroes that really stood out for me. When you got that portal, that ability just to jump into the Sergeant Hammer that can be so notorious for sieging, would have been a good map for him. It's a scary time, right? And then you got the lack of mobility for Raynor. Sure, he can pump from afar. Fulfills a very similar role, I suppose, if you take that analogy between him and Sergeant Hammer. Junkrat may be the only one that has a little bit of appeal, but the ban, the heads up with the Phoenix ban there, I mean, it's a strong hero for them, and obviously it pairs very well with Diablo. So I feel like Tempo Storm haven't shown too much. They're just playing what they need to get the job done.
Kaldor, final thoughts?
I mean, especially when we're talking about Phoenix, that ban, I really liked it from Tempo Storm's perspective, since we have seen Luna Meow really heavily focusing on that hero, so they take a lot of big strong picks away. But their draft meshes really well. You have the portal engaged through Medivh, getting Arthas into that back line, and that's what Raynor usually tries to avoid. The burst damage coming through Jaina, finishing the kill off with Malthael in the last rites. I really like the combo that they have, and as Skimmy said, they don't really show anything that's like crazy or new, but it's a very solid draft for them, and also the potential to A, play it aggressive, but also disengage with Medivh if they need to. And it gives great vision, so great control from there. I like it.
Well, we are ready for our first series of the HGC Finals opening week of BlizzCon. Let's head over to the casters, Dreadnought and Jhow for game 1.
It is good to be back here at HGC. My name is Jayhound Dreadnought. It's been a while. We took a mini, as somebody I know would say.
Yeah, we took a mini, you
but
know.
It feels good to be back, man.
It does. The hiatus, you know, kind of coming to a lull now. It is exciting to be able to have the HGC finals here, and it's great that we're going to be starting off here with Taiwan versus North America. It is a true Blizzard, you know, international classic here.
It's time. Tempo Storm, we've heard so much from them recently, some recent comments by some recent players, but we know the changes that they've gone through as, you know, that was all broken down. So I'm excited to see what we've kind of developed. We've heard rumors about how some things might be playing out in the future, so I'm really looking forward to how the day plays out. But it's time to get things started to kick off the HGC finals. It is Luna Meow versus Tempo Storm.
And in the blue, it is Luna Meow, where we have Rainer played by Bowie 005. Virgil going to be on his Dahaka, one of his best characters, somebody to be looking out throughout the rest of this game. Kim going to be on the front line there on Diablo. Next up is Immortal there on the Junkrat. And last but not least, supporting the squad here, I believe we're going to have not coming up there. Apparently I'm a baked cheese there on Whitemane.
Yeah, there he is on the other side. This is the hometown right here. Basically just a short trip for these guys. June, he'll be on the Malfurion. Ven will be trying to carry this team on that Jaina. Caterpillar, he's been on this Arthas a lot in North America. Fan, back on Medivh for the first time in a long time. And Glaurung, he'll be in that solo lane. He'll be on the Malthael.
Something to already note here, Virgil in the offlane not willing to commit to the 4-man skirmish here, actually going for the offlane pressure starting on the first wave. We'll see if Tempo Storm tries to compensate in some way, shape, and or form here. The Medivh composition, generally speaking, running a very high power and high impact 1-4, which is already what we see coming to light here with Tempo, finding a couple stacks there for Fan.
The Medivh factor, Dreadnought, in every game, it's, oh, that's a very early brushstock by Virgil. It's something that you look at now, it's not that condemning when the first towers kick off, the first altars kick off. It's 3 minutes in, but we normally see kind of the play around the camps at 1 minute in. So now Dahaka has to make up for that. Look at Malthael on that mini-map, Dreadnought. That's Malthael making the rotation down, and now they can feign the invade. They actually have the invade here. Kim gets a little bit of damage in. Now they get the portal in. Cattle trying to survive. Kim somehow surviving. Whitemane heals. No first blood yet, but this is now, Glaurung is here. Dahaka no longer has the brushstock.
Yeah, that's a great point that you bring up here. That earlier brushstock is part of the reason that Tempo Storm is able to get as aggressive as they are right now over that. That is going to be sappers acquired now here for Tempo Storm, but it looks like Luna Meow is going to have the tools to be able to get at least a pretty reasonable clear there. But in the downtime, Tempo will be able to back out, pick up some sappers for themselves here. And so as this game kind of progresses for us, beyond Virgil and the Dahaka and those brushstocks, which has already been a, you know, impact in both directions here of the game, but then also I want to highlight Immortal. His positioning is something that I'm very concerned with in this game, knowing that Tempo has the Medivh portals, have the ability to kind of close the gap and force a fight that maybe Luna Meow is not better prepped for.
We'll see the play around that. It's the North American style on a pale horse. We saw that rotation down. See if we'll get another rotation. But Immortal comes in, gets the poke over the wall. Does have that level 4, but he hadn't locked in that talent yet, so maybe missed a few stacks. But Glaurung will try and escort in. Virgil will just kind of have to deal with it, and we'll see if we get the rotation down again. As there's the contention over this sapper camp. Getting pulled over is Cattle.
But Fan's going to be there in a second here with the Medivh shield. Bowie out too far there. Already enough damage. Now Fan there with the portal trying to track down Baked Cheese. Still looking for some of those stacks. If the Howling Blast is going to land, I don't know if he'll be able to make it out. It does end up connecting, but look at that. Kim with that overpower saves the day, but it comes at a cost, J-How.
That's a cost of his life, and picking up the pace early here as Tempo Storm with those first 2 kills, and it couldn't have come at a better time. We are 10 seconds away from that first altar phase. Full level lead, some control so far. See how Tempo Storm, if they can keep that foot on the gas here early. Luna Meow, though, does have the tools as this game goes on to start to come back.
For now, top is going to be a dead even trade as June getting a big advantage thanks to that kill on the bottom half there. That's 8 shots acquired for Tempo, 4 for that of Luna Meow. And it's back to the sapper game here for these teams.
Well, the control here for Tempo Storm early. They'll finally get their sapper camp in after the back and forth on that camp. We'll see the rotation over as the root goes in. Cattle just continuing to be a thorn in the side of Luna Meow.
Surprising to see the 1-3-1 kind of approach here for Luna Meow, though they have been a team that is very comfortable moving into the double globals like they have in the past. It just feels like that playstyle, especially with the Junkrat in the offlane, until it hits the 13 mark, it really just doesn't pack the same macro punch that I think Luna Meow is looking for. And they're very much known for macro, especially within their region here. Kim coming down, looking for maybe a gank opportunity, but again, thwarted with the transitions here of Tempo.
Well, the skirmish here, 7 picked up by Tempo Storm. You can see the back and forth. The lane starting to open up a little bit in favor of Tempo Storm. The camp available again at that bottom left. It becomes a little bit trickier as Diablo starts to get more and more stacked up, as there's more and more things that come into play here. The Diablo's scary, the Junkrat concussion mine scary. Just a matter of, is Tempo willing to commit to these things?
We'll find out with the 30-second window here over the next altar. The Brushstock should be available this time, but with the level advantage that Tempo Storm has, it does come into a situation to where if they bait that Brushstalker again and then just delay a little bit longer, which Medivh is very, very good at, along with the Malfurion, you get a lot more experience advantage here. So we'll see what Tempo Storm ends up doing, as we have had Glau make the transition down there on the Malthael. His Pale Horse has been seen by Kim there, able to dodge the root coming out by June, but positional advantage here over this altar heavily in favor of Tempo.
We'll see Dehaka starting to come in. There's the flip over. See if Virgil can get onto there. The force already used, but that's going to be Cattle walking away from that. But they are now starting to re-aggress here. Short portal might be all it takes to get onto that. You know, an interesting pickup here. Sustaining rounds for Reynor at level 4, making sure to heal himself up off his own pepper. It's an interesting pickup. It's something we haven't seen basically in any other region, but we have seen some minor nerfs towards some of the other talents, or at least one in particular. You'll see as Fan hovers over, there's the portal in. They're coming in for the fight, and that's why Junkrat's picked up the concussion mine. Will kick things off.
Kim seems to be the focus here for Tempo Storm, as he has no way out of there. So overpowered to try and get Cattle away, but the Howling Blast coming through, that Frozen Tempest slowing him down, and then the back end Baked Cheese getting caught out by Fan, finishing off that Master's Touch there, as long with picking up the kill. Tempo Storm find a third and really feel like they are starting to run away here with Towers of Doom.
Oh, there's another nice portal. This is where Medivh comes in. That's going to be another kill. They get the Blizzard down the roots. This is full team execution right now by Tempo Storm in the early game. Dreadnought, they have a full level lead. That's about to climb here, because this fort should fall momentarily. They do have a sapper camp if they go back to grab that, but they're keeping up with the rotations for now.
Yeah, and it should be noted that Tempo Storm is, though, even if they get this bell tower conversion into the favor, which actually reserving it there at that kind of 1% to be able to save it for later. I was just going to highlight that Luna Meow with the double global, if you will, or at least the double macro between the Junkrat Dehaka, they can handle with loss of bell towers, and the Reynor has very good siege, whereas Tempo is significantly, kind of set behind if they lose their bell towers here. So though it is a major setback, it is not the end of the world. But by Tempo not capturing that, suddenly that defense mechanism is no longer available. And I'm sure here, before this altar finishes, Vince is going to walk up, throw out a nice Ice Lance, and say, thanks for the bell tower, and hopefully an extra shot.
Yeah, he's moving directly forward. He's going to make sure the Blizzard helps confirm it as well. So that goes down. Level 10 picked up by Tempo Storm. Should be a free altar channel here. Cattle on the flank side, seeing if they can make another play happen. Waiting to see Medivh portal there. It's going to go. The slow is on to Kim, trying to survive. The roots go down. Nice cleanse there. The intercession used, and Kim trying to walk away. As we can see, Fan and Ben trying to track it down, unable to get the kill, but they get another 5 shots as they take a 36-23 core lead.
And until heroics are picked up here for Luna Meow, it is just a very grim picture going to be painted, and not much that they can do about it here. Mechanical outclass is irrelevant at this point in time, purely just based on the situation with their composition, and even more so when considering the macro circumstances here. There are the heroics. We'll see if we see any major deviation. We do get an APOC, not, the wildest of adjustments, but it is a little bit different considering that, for the most part, Lightning Breath is the go-to here around the world. So we'll see what they can do with the counter initiation to the ley line sealed there out of Fan.
Oh, there's another root that's going to land, and Kim trying to make space. That does happen. We do see Caterpillar going into that trait build at level 1, has completed that, so the mana reduction. It is, however, Dreadnought, one of my favorites. It's an infinite stacking talent in terms of damage. It's not normally why you're trying to pick that, but it allows you to sustain in fights much longer when you get that mana reduction on that to survive and just keep all of your abilities going. And when you pair the Malf in there, if you get that innervate, that's even better for you.
Now questions that we got to be asking in this bottom lane is, do we ever get a brush stock kind of initiation to get a drag kill and suddenly, excuse me there, get Luna Meow back in control of this bottom half of the battleground. With the 30-second window now on the altars, that's no longer an opportunity. It's going to have to be around these altars, which bottom now is just near inaccessible by Luna Meow because of that bell tower. So this is a tough moment here for them.
It puts them in a choke point because that top right of your screen right now is where they're going to have to path through. It's way too late to go up and around. So let's see if they just kind of bully their way in. You can see the pings coming in, the portal feigning over, and they're willing to commit to this choke point. That's where Arthas comes in. See if they go the portal down. They're trying to get on the backside. Instead, they go in, Dread.
They'll go in and look for Baked Cheese as he drops the Aegis. Kim able to hit the APOC, stopping Cattle for just half a second there as the Riptire comes out. Focus is going to be there, but the Force of Will flip over. Not going to matter. Kim is out of here. Down a man, down 5 shots now. 1 altar remains as Glorong taking that Pale Horse back to bottom, pick up 5 more. And after it's all said and done, J-How, 2-level lead and only 11 shots remain on the core there of Luna Meow.
It's a really promising sign to start your day like this if you're Tempo Storm. Mind you, it's a 2-game set. There's still a lot of games still in this to be played. But for Tempo Storm to have this type, Dreadnought, they still have to, they get Luna Meow for now. They get Gen G later. So they need to come out and be like, hey, look, we are as good as we think that we are. They've come out, they're very well prepared. There's probably a lot more tricks up their sleeves. But for now, this is a very good start, not only to this game, but to the day for Tempo Storm.
And I think that's the kind of, the trick up the sleeve is the biggest thing to keep in mind there, is that with all the rumors and, of what we've seen of the North America as of late, it puts it in a position here as Bowie almost caught out a little bit too far there. Nice cleanse is going to be able to help him survive this as the Sappers do end up coming in. But it's just Tempo hasn't really displayed that much with this composition. It's very generic, not that surprising in any way, shape, or form. And so maybe better their odds is that is huge Howling Blast. A lot of damage coming out from Fan as he drops the ley line. Bowie 005 not going to keep himself up. His Fan is just making those arcane rifts nail all the members of Luna Meow.
I mean, cool down, cool down, cool down, cool down. You know what? I see Jaina, I see you over there with those icy veins, but if I hit all mine, check out what I can do. So Fan making some things happen there for Luna Meow Dreadnought. We saw just before that, we did see Diablo finish his Souls talent, so he is tankier, can survive in these moments, but they desperately need 13 going into this.
J-How.
They have the global. It's triple altar phase though, Dread.
Yeah, it's triple altar phase, and more importantly, one of those altars is near, again, still unavailable for Luna Meow, and I'm talking about that bottom altar, meaning this double top left and top right altar is a near must for Luna Meow. They're lucky in the fact that Sappers are not going to be available, but Kim maybe got to get caught out there. The APOC already dropped. He's trying to buy time, but J-How, the last right's going down. The biggest thing is that the altars aren't even up yet. Tempo can get this kill and make the rotation. 4 versus 5, how can they hold off? They're trying. Virgil with that cap. Cattle trying to get the interrupt. Will he get it? Yes, he will.
Oh, no, they didn't.
No, they didn't.
Actually, it was like the last second, but Virgil, he's going to pay for that with his life. That does buy them the lifeline of staying alive. They're down to 1 core health. The thing that scares me, though, is that the boss is available. They have such a massive lead, 30-1. They did get the bottom one. It looks like they're going to turn their attention to the boss. They'll be 16 momentarily. Actually, they're like, wait, what if we just get another kill to make this easier?
Yeah, and I think even beyond the 16, beyond the boss, the biggest thing to look at is when it comes to the boss control. Let's say this was a dead even fight. The leyline seal is a great tool there. Hold on, though. Fan is going to be focused out here. Gets a nice Force of Will as we see the Vin kind of flanking on the backside. Glong trying to move forward as they already get the kill there onto Kim. Riptire is the focus. Baked Cheese unable to escape as he eats all the damage there out of the Blizzard. 3 members now with Dahaka spawning. Only 2 of Luna Meow off the board, and Tempo look to close out this game.
Yeah, Concussion Mine, a Miracle Concussion Mine with a Brush Stalker in might be, the miracle play if you can get it. There's a lot of damage coming out, though. With that armor reduction from Dahaka at 13, it doesn't matter. Dahaka's now dead. And this should be enough for Tempo Storm to close out game number 1.
Bowie doing his best there, getting a bit of damage coming through. Immortal has a Concussion Mine, and that's the only tool available. Concussion Mine offline, APOC through, but it doesn't matter. Tempo Storm finds a way to shut out Luna Meow here in game 1, 12-0, and take game 1, setting the tone here for HGC Finals, at least for NA. It's looking pretty good so far.
It's a good start. This was the Tempo Storm Battleground. We'll see if Luna Meow in this 2-game set, every point matters. And if you get a 2-0 in these series, it's worth 3 points. If you get that 1-1, it's where you want to be. If you're thinking, hey, we're not the Gen G, we need to climb. Just getting 1 game off some of these teams can be crucial towards the later part of the stage, Fred.
Yeah, it is very important. And as you said, every single game is going to matter here. But you know what? That is enough of our thoughts here on that last game, J-How. We're going to send it over to the panel and see what they had to say.
Well, as it happens, when you draft the old school combo of Jaina and Arthas, it turns out it's a good old-fashioned snowball because, man, that got out of Luna Meow's hands fast.
I was there, it was an avalanche.
Yeah, that is very fair. It was, it just got out of their control so quickly. You can start with things like the early Dehaka stock, but where do you feel like things really turned around?
I mean, it's pretty much what we said in the draft. You have a Medivh that enables you
Yeah.
to simply portal onto Reyna, and then you have an Arthas that walks him down, a Jaina for the burst damage. How do you get away from this? Then you can play around Malthael as well. They didn't even really have to. So at that point, your backline is just dying, and they never even were able to threaten Tempostorm in any way. So that doesn't really bode well for the Taiwanese team here.
Yeah, Skimmy, that Medivh made so many good things happen for the Arthas specifically in that.
I mean, it's a big reason why, Luna Meow have always banned away this hero. It's a hero that can be so frustrating, so oppressive to go up against. And as I mentioned, it was really targeted towards their hero pool. They did their research, as you mentioned as well. The Malthael was there as the hyper carry for the solo lane, never needed to be used. And typically speaking, you got the Blaze for a bunker to try and disrupt that, or the Ardent Defender to try and negate it. Like I say, it was just there to, mirror the soaking potential of the Dehaka. So it was a brutal affair. We mentioned it in the draft that they had everything they wanted. They didn't show anything special. They just executed better.
What do you think that Luna Meow were trying to get done with the Apocalypse? Granted, by the point that Luna Meow hit heroic abilities, it was already so far gone. But where do you think they were trying to do that, since we see a lot more Lightning Breath now?
I mean, I feel like you try to really just play around the CC train and try and get the target down, allow Reyna to dish out a lot of the damage. But as you said, they were already so far behind. It just felt like from the beginning of the game, once that Medivh started to just portal in Arthas over and over again, there was nothing they could do. I mean, Tempostorm just walked over them. The camp is taken, Arthur starts walking in, Diablo tries to fight for it, and they always ended up losing at least a hero or two. There was just no point where you actually thought, okay, this is a game where Taiwan, where Luna Meow is starting to contest and bring it back a little bit. It was only a question at some point, how many kills is Tempostorm going to end up with?
Yeah, and I think what you have to highlight, Skimmy, is a really good showing of what Tempostorm was capable of in that game.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to actually have a look at the 9-minute mark here, where it's a 2-level lead for the side of Tempostorm. We're going to play this one just to start off with. So you're looking at Fan just anchoring from this side right over here. So he's just hanging around. They've already got the warning ping to the side because they're concerned, is there going to be a rotation? Is the Brushstalker going to come across? It's not in this fact. You're seeing with Malthael actually on the rotation on the minimap here concerned, maybe I need to come in because of that warning ping, but it's not going to happen. So we're going to play this clip ahead and we're going to see exactly what happens. So the portal's going to get dropped on down right there. Instantly, they all pile on in right on this spot right here. And we mentioned that Junkrat has the concussion mine for the disengage. Fantastic. That's the big point, right? But Raynor isn't going to be as likely. And quite honestly, it's a common rule of thumb that we see in Hero League where people do not focus the tank, but they do just that, and this is a good reason why, because they have so much damage when they pile across. They try and go for the support initially, but they come across in the end and just absolutely murder Kim there on that Diablo. Destroyed, disintegrated, resources burnt across the board, and just like that, it was the beginning of the end.
Well, a dominant Tempostorm win over Luna Meow, over Taiwan's team in Game 1. We'll have to see if they can continue that out in Game 2 after a word from our sponsors.